Well, folks, what is happening? Welcome to Mentality Monsters. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Our Kings Camps. We'll hear more about them later on in the episode. And today we are joined by content creator and sports presenter, Lori Watton. Lori, thank you very much for coming on.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Travelled the entire way down from Caine. It's probably the furthest that anybody has travelled for us, like, as well.
I'm quite used to travelling up and down to Belfast now.
I know. So you had to travel up yesterday and then today?
Yes, I was at Seaview yesterday and then today.
So how do you get allocated your games?
We usually get them, our content lead would usually send them out on like maybe sometimes a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and around that time. It just depends. Sometimes it goes by maybe which club we haven't touched in a while, or maybe it's a key game. It depends on point of the season, really.
Who do you like watching the most?
I think that's going to be a really obvious answer, isn't it?
Bar Korean.
Bar Korean. I said it to you before we started recording. I have to say, I would say I have a wee soft spot for Cliftonville, but then I'm kind of the same with all the clubs.
Yeah.
And the
like
league now, because you get to go around the grounds and you form connections with people, and it's something that's become really, really special to me. Like, do you know what I mean? So all of them. I love getting around all of them, but I do have to say, especially this season, I have a wee soft spot for Cliftonville.
Well, you may hope like Ballymallard doesn't get back in the league or something. Like imagine having to go down there on like a Saturday, freezing cold. One thing that I've always wanted to ask you, like as soon as like you said yes about coming on, where's the coldest ground? Because I think Irish League grounds are insanely cold.
In fairness, Seaview's always cold. Seaview's always cold and windy, and the Oval.
The Oval, yeah.
Oval.
The wind gets in there.
The away stand at the Oval, freezing.
See Solitude. So we went. Me and my cousin went to the Dungannon match after the cup final, and oh my god, it's pain.
Yeah.
It's actual pain. And then I wore these these wee socks like that there, the wee footsie socks. It's not a good idea.
I have a running joke with one of the guys, Trevor McKendry at Coleraine. And he always comes up to me in a match day and asks, how many pairs of socks have you got on today? Because I will be wearing about 2 or 3 pairs of socks to every game.
See that?
Yeah,
you have to
prepare.
100%. Like that is something which I'm gonna need to do myself. Like, and if you can just go back, like basically to the very start. So, where are you from, and what were you like as a young person?
From Coleraine. My father's from Coleraine. I was born and raised in Coleraine. My mum's from a wee country Antrim village called Dervick. So I think you can maybe hear it in my accent, but it's a wee bit mixed.
There's a bit of culture there.
There's a wee bit of culture there.
Just a hint of culture.
Just enough. As a child, I was very, very much a tomboy. Refused to wear dresses. Loved my tracksuits. Loved my football kits. I think you can probably see.
Who do you support?
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
So whenever I was a young child, my bedroom wasn't necessarily decorated in like Barbie and pop stars and all that there. Although I did love the Spice Girls, in fairness. I had
Sporty Spice, probably.
Sporty Spice. I had CBG on my wall, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler. Like they were my idols. So I've loved football from a young age.
What age are you?
32.
32. Mm-hmm. So you'd be able to remember the first game that I can actually remember is Istanbul. 2005.
Yeah.
Like that's the first game which I can actually like remember. But I always wanted to watch Michael Owen playing for Liverpool. I think I know he went to United, but
that was my first heartbreak. I think that was my first experience of heartbreak.
I can understand why
leaving Liverpool. Yeah.
But then Fernando Torres leaving as well.
Yeah.
I'm not. What a fucking player.
I know.
What a player.
Unbelievable.
But continue. You as a young person.
Very much a tomboy. Everybody always asks me, did you not play football? Whenever you were younger.
Yeah.
And I think whenever I was at primary school, I tried, but I was still, as I say, I'm 32, coming 33 this year. And it was still very much, girls shouldn't play football. It was me, I think, and one other girl in our entire primary school that would have kicked the ball about a wee bit with the boys. But you always kind of had those comments of girls shouldn't be playing football.
Yeah.
Or, what are you doing that for? So over the years, I think I got into other sport. I did karate as a child. I'm built in karate. I did figure skating. I've did kickboxing. I do cheerleading now competitively. So, but football was always
your passion.
Do you know what I mean? Always my love. And my first experience of the Irish League, I remember Big Gaggy that used to play for Coleraine coming into our primary school and kind of giving a talk to the kids. And I remember going home being like, I really want to go to a Coleraine game. My dad wouldn't allow it. He was a blues man.
Was he?
Yeah. I remember saying to him, I was like, would you take me to a Coleraine game? Would I No chance. Would you buy me a Korean top? Not a mission. It's not happening. So I waited till I was about, it must have been second year. Maybe about, I think I was about 14. And I remember saying to my mum, I was like, can I go to a Korean game with a few of my friends that my mum knew and trusted? And she was like, yeah, absolutely, fire away. And that was it.
And that was it?
Every home game, every away game. And then I moved to London whenever I was 18 for uni. So that kind of stopped.
What were you studying?
Photography.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
photographic arts. I went to Westminster Uni in London.
Is that where you kind of got your background for
Media.
like creating content and media and stuff? Yeah.
That's where it all started. Like I loved the whole way through school. Like I loved art. I was always into drawing and painting and all that stuff. And then I was introduced to photography when I was 17. I went and did work experience with a photographer in the town, and I loved it. I loved it. Like just the medium of photography and the whole, you know, getting out and meeting people.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Fell in love with it. Moved to London at 18, studied, and then came home after 4 years.
How did you find being abroad? Well, not abroad, like, but away
great.
from home.
And this is what I always say as well about my time in London was not so much like, you know, obviously you learn a lot through your degree, but the thing for me was Coleraine is a very small town. Northern Ireland is a very small country, and it opened my eyes to different people, different cultures, you know, meeting people from all over the world. Like I have friends in all different pinpoints across the globe now. And I think those experiences, you know, set me up for like the person I am today.
Were you asked any stupid questions about back home when you were out there?
Oh God, yeah. All the time. And you had to repeat yourself over and over again.
I'd say so, yeah.
Like, I remember coming home and my sisters would have been like, why are you talking so posh? And I was like, and then I would have been back over to London and my two flatmates, both English. One of them was from Brighton, the other one was from Kent. They would have been like, Lori, why are you speaking so Irish? I was like, I can't win.
Can you still do your posh accent now?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Unless I'm doing it now without knowing.
No, there's still a bit of culture in there. So
I've lost it.
See, when it comes to photography, one thing which I've always wanted to know, what qualifies as a good picture? So, like, you hear people, like photographers saying they got the perfect shot and stuff like that. What makes the perfect shot?
That's a really hard question to answer because...
Sorry for putting you on the spot like that.
It's a good one, though. Photography is very much... It's an art form. Do you know what I mean? And art is always going to be kind of how things are perceived.
Yeah.
But, like, your main components, obviously, are your light and your framing, like, your subject, like, all those things. But, honestly, it depends on which story you're trying to tell and how you tell it.
Say, as well, like, it's all in the eye of the beholder. Like something which I would think is class, you may think is like a shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So back in Coleraine, as a teenager, was there any distractions, or when you were at school, did you really apply yourself to it, or is like, especially in photography, and then now you're in sports media, it's kind of still like you're behind the camera, or well in front of a camera, but it's two different like kind of things. Where did kind of the direction push you off in the sports media?
I think during COVID, I started my own TikTok account. And that got me kind of... I remember saying to friends of mine who were doing TikTok, I was like, I could never do that. I could never, like, be in front of the camera like that or do any of those things. And they were like, just post it. Who cares? You know, it's grand. So I started posting these TikToks, and some of them got, you know, relatively good
Was it, like,
views.
lip syncs and stuff like that there, or...?
Stuff like that. And then I would have done, like, quite a lot of, like joking around about, like, things that were specific to this country.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember doing one, I think it was, like, you know, how we tell, like, where someone's from, like, pronounce this letter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's classics.
Things like
yeah,
that. Do you know
it's
what I mean?
absolute classics.
Just basically taking the hand out of how complicated this wee land that we're from is. Do you know what I mean? It's the only way.
It's like, see this place. I was saying to Sean McComb about it. I was like, this place is mental, but I love this. Like,
I'm the
like,
exact same.
like I
It's
love
crazy,
this place.
but I love it.
Like the people here, they're like, I genuinely do think there's no nicer like people. See the hospitality and stuff here. I think it's unbelievable. And see when you're like in London, like obviously stuff is a lot different. The culture,
Sense of humour.
the sense of humour, especially. Yeah.
I missed our sense of humour so much whenever I was away. Honestly.
Like, what was the biggest challenge about being away?
Honestly, one of the biggest challenges was not being able to watch Coleraine. For me, honestly.
No way.
Seriously. Yeah. I miss the matches so much. And then obviously I miss my family as well. Like, I have two sisters who I love dearly. I'm the eldest of three girls. I miss my mom. I miss my dad. Like, you know, all of those things. But I love being away too. And I miss Coleraine because it was such a massive part of my life.
Yeah.
You know.
What does Coleraine mean to you? The club in itself?
The club means an awful lot to me. It was a place for me whenever I was younger to, you know, as I say, I was probably 14 whenever I started going to the games. It was one of the first places that I was allowed to go on my own, where I could be myself and kind of have a sense of belonging. Do you know what I mean? It's just like Korean Showgrounds is like a home to me. Do you know what I mean?
Has your dad ever went to a match with you?
No.
No?
He doesn't go to any Linfield matches either, so...
Would he not go if Linfield were playing away?
No.
No?
No, he doesn't really pay much attention to Irish League now at all. He's a Liverpool man and that's it.
That's it. Smart man.
Aye,
Very smart man.
true.
Liverpool man myself, but at League Cup final just broke my heart. The guy's just going, why haven't they just shown up?
I know.
It was a terrible match. Like Newcastle were all over it. Like Newcastle wanted it far more. Then again, we're recording this here today on a Sunday. Liverpool play at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah, so if they beat West Ham here, 13 points clear. Arsenal lose next week. Liverpool win next week. League's over. So fingers crossed, like, but I just don't think it's going to work out that way. But hopefully, even if we play Arsenal, I think play Arsenal in 3 matches after Spurs. If we win it there, that'd be fucking unreal. Just the years of... See, when you were growing up, who was the team that everyone supported? Because
do you mean my favourite Liverpool team?
Like, no, like, so all my mates, like, I was one of the only Liverpool fans out of my mates.
I get you.
So United fans were...
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bastards.
I know.
Now I'm just sitting there just like Mr. Burns just laughing.
This is beautiful. I know.
It's class to see. So over in London, what did you have as a vision for yourself while you were there? What was the next step for you?
To the one that I'm in now. Whenever I was in London, obviously, as I say, I studied photographic arts, and I was really into... At the time, there were 2 angles that I wanted to take. One of them was fashion photography. The other was photojournalism. I was really, really into photojournalism. So I even talked at a stage about going away to like the likes of like Afghanistan and stuff like that, and photographing over there. So I know.
Combat like correspondent.
Yeah.
That would be class. Mm-hmm. Did you have to do any internships with any news broadcasters, anything when you were out there?
I did. The best one I did when I was in London was I worked with a photographer. He's actually from here. Stephen Hill, his name is. He's a unit stills photographer on the set of films. So we worked on a film called Suffragette, which had Meryl Streep, Helena Bonham Carter, Brendan Gleeson, like all big actors.
Yeah.
So I was I was his assistant whenever he was photographing like Helena Bonham Carter and stuff like that.
And how did you find that there, like seeing that scale of like the caliber of production, like of actors and actresses in production?
Unreal. And it was seeing how the different actors were as well was phenomenal. Like Helena Bonham Carter's one of the nicest people I've ever met. Like I was sat kind of at the laptop. We had about 4 minutes to shoot her unit stills, which are your big kind of, you know, what would be used in the posters for films. Yeah. And she came in and she was like, I need some music. And she came over, put her hands on my lap and was like, play some music for me. And I was like, this is Helena Bonham Carter. I can see it.
You're sitting there going,
you know, this is absolutely
speak posh.
And then Meryl Streep came in and she was like, everybody out of the room. She wanted the room cleared. Like, just how those different people, you know, those different characters are.
Did you ever want to, say, get into that there line of work, the film industry?
I would have loved to, but it was something I just didn't really pursue. Like, that was my final year I did that. So whenever, after that, I was kind of posed with the question of, do I stay in London or do I go home? And at the time, I had met my son's dad, so I came home.
You came home? Yeah. Do you ever think about what life would be like if you ever stayed there?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I would, like, it was very difficult to come home to Coleraine after being in the heart of London for 4 years. You know, it was a lot to adjust to. So it was difficult for a long period of time. I felt like I'd kind of lost myself. I didn't really know. You know, you lose. You can be not someone else when you're in London, but you can be whoever.
Yeah, no one knows you. And
whereas you come back to Korea and everyone knows you. Do you know what I mean? And you're known by like, oh, she's such and such's daughter, or that's such and such.
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I mean? You know what it's like in a small town.
Have you ever lost yourself? Lost your kind of like identity the way, you know, like you said there, you.
I don't know if I would say I ever lost my identity. In fairness, like after you become a mum, it's hard to maintain a lot of who you are, I think, in terms of like who you are outside of being a mother. So maybe after I had my son for a period of time, I maybe wasn't as kind of confident a person and wasn't as driven a person as I had been before. But it's something that I think in the long run definitely made me stronger, because a lot of what I do now, like I just have to look at my wee boy and be like, I know exactly what I'm doing this for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you get that spark back with yourself? No, like getting your confidence back. How did you put yourself out there to get that confidence back?
Do you know what? I would put it down to a lot of like, I see whenever I'm feeling like down or feeling like I don't have a lot of confidence, I would go back to listening to like the music that I would listen to whenever I was in London, or like taking my like doing things that kind of built you. So like taking my camera and like photographing, or like reading, just those little tiny things that
Kind of like reinforcement.
who you are. Yeah. Just kind of rebuilding from within. Do you know what I mean?
And then you're in front of the camera like a lot now. Were you cringe at the start? Like, see, doing the TikToks and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Very, very much so.
I hate, like, are you able to watch back your interviews you do with players? Or you do like
Some
any
of them,
sort?
it depends. It depends what mood I've been in that day. Because this is the thing I always say about my job is, you could receive bad news on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And you still have to go and interview people and show up as the person that you have to be. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like a performance act. Like it is to a certain degree. So it depends what kind of mindset I have been in that day. Like, I know if I've maybe like asked a question, asked it in a slightly wrong way, I don't want to watch that interview back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for the main part, I can, I think.
See, I've never watched a single episode of this.
You know,
ever. No. I don't think I ever will, just because it's just like I would cringe at myself. So take us back to the start of the content creating and TikTok. So you're putting all that out there, and then you end up getting landed with a sports media gig at Caine. So the club you've like supported your entire life. What did that feel like, and how did that come about?
It was unbelievable. It was Caine contacted me. It was Johnny McNabb, actually, the media officer at Caine, who I would have a good relationship with. Me and Johnny are good friends. Johnny contacted me one night and said, "Look, we're launching a new mascot, which is Benny the Bandsider," and he was like, "I need someone to look after his social media accounts and to create like reels and stuff like that. Is it something you'd be interested in?" And here's me going like, "Yeah, absolutely." Do you know what I mean? Of course. I remember the first day that Benny was launched was kind of the first day that I went into the club and was like filming and doing all these bits and pieces. So I started behind the camera.
Yeah.
And over time, like I started doing, so I looked after Benny's accounts. We visited like all these these different schools. I think we did like 50 schools or something with the bear. And then from that, I used to take my camera with me as well. So I kind of did a good number of bits of like club photography. And then I think Johnny said to me one time, like, would you fancy looking after the Instagram on a match day? And so I did that, and we started to kind of progress it from just like the match day graphics and like goal graphics, updates, all that stuff into like video. And then I would have went around with a microphone then.
What was that like the first kind of experience?
It wasn't too bad because it was Caine, so I was able to pick out people that I knew.
Yeah.
Which probably made me feel a lot more comfortable. And I think people from Caine then knew me too.
Yeah, they knew the crack.
They knew the crack.
Yeah.
So comfortable enough. And then with everything, the more you do something, then like the more it builds.
Yeah.
And the first time that NIFL contacted me, I think was kind of towards the end of my second season with Caine. And they had seen what I was doing in terms of like interviewing people and stuff before the games, and I don't think that anyone at the time had been doing that. I'm not sure if anybody at any other club had been doing it either.
I can't remember seeing anything to do with the Irish League doing that there. So you're a trendsetter. You could, I'd say so.
I can't think of anyone else
I'd say
that was doing it. So perhaps, but they first contacted me then to do. Was it the League Cup final? Caine and Linfield League Cup final. And they wanted me to go into Caine Town and just ask people, like, like who do you think the best player in the league is? Like, are you looking forward to the final? Like, all these things. So we did Caine and we did Belfast then as well. And then after that, I think it was a few months after that, they were like, would you like to come on board and do this for us, maybe
is that full time as well, or
1 game a week we do? So.
And then when did the turning point come when you actually thought, right, this could be like a career? Is this like, would you say this is a career now?
I mean, I would love it to be, and I still only do maybe 1 game a week in the men's game, and then I do a wee bit of live presenting for the women's as well, because we have a broadcast partnership with the Zone for the women's league too.
Unreal.
So it's really good. Live presenting is really nerve wracking, mind you, but I would love it to be a career. You know, I would love to delve into this more and more, but I do still have my day job as well. I'm a content creator and social media manager for Jewelers and Coleraine as well.
Unreal. So are you still doing stuff on the side with your content creating? Like, if someone was to contact you just in terms of toxic, like a Eurospar, and ask you to do like content like for that store, how do you find that their like business? Because we've had Jed on before, and he would do that there as well. How do you find it? Because I think running social media accounts, like I do kind of the social media on this account, and it's a pain in the arse.
Tough.
Yeah, like
it's really tough being consistent and like all those. I always say, I don't know all those like the analytics and stuff like that. I have a very, very basic understanding of it, but like I'm not a marketer in terms of like looking at all those kind of backroom numbers. Do you know what I mean? It's more just the content creation. So if someone contacts me and asks me to do stuff, it's usually just for promotional purposes. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily to run an account or whatever. In the Jewelers, I've been in there for like 10 years since I moved home from London.
What's the most challenging aspect of being a content creator?
That's a good question. Whenever for my job in the Jewelers, trying to find new ways of promoting the same thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the same thing, because you have new styles and stuff coming in. But
would you study new styles and new trends in social media and like promotions and stuff like that? Or would you go and study it?
Try and keep up to date with them as much as possible. Yeah.
Is there much changes, like daily changes with stuff like that?
Not necessarily daily, because a lot of those trends will be about for a good while. But I think social media is photography is the same. Your trends are ever changing.
Yeah.
Photography, as I say, has been the same over the years. Photography used to be very clean cut photos where, you know, your lighting's all nice and even, and you know, your subject's well highlighted and stuff. But now you've got photos. People prefer photos that are a wee bit more moody and a bit more kind of contrasty. And I think social media is the same in terms of now people are looking out for more high quality stuff. You know, and more creative stuff, more creative ways of selling.
Like, see Matt, our videographer, he would be very up to date with all this stuff, and like he would say, I know, like it's kind of changing where people like more want reels, like than photos. Like I was going down Instagram and I saw like there was like 4 or 5 reels in a row before I even saw a photo. Like it's just it seems to be like the thing now. When it comes to the Irish League, how do you think your content does? Because I think it's class. Like it's great to see it adds kind of like a new like dimension to the league. Because when I was growing up, like I remember just going to the Reds matches and you would just see it on BBC Sport or Football Focus, like just the highlights and that's it. But you can actually see daily things now. Like see with the league, what's that like for you? Just being like a part of that there.
I love it. I think one of the most important things for me, so obviously my job's like primarily fans, and I love getting like the characters within the league out. Do you know what I mean? Like
plenty of them.
You meet tons of characters,
plenty
honestly,
of them.
and it's brilliant. So I think that having a kind of a platform where you're showcasing not only players, managers, but your fans are getting in there too is really important, and it's like the views are.
The views are flooding in. The views are flooding in. Like, as we were like talking before, big shout out to Darren Hill, absolute madman. But he's just like one of those characters you do find in the league. Like, and I would say every single team has their own Hill.
Club has them.
Like, I think the Irish League fans are some of the most passionate fans about their class.
Yeah.
If you love the thrill of winning big, then you need to check out our King's competitions, the UK and Ireland's top spot for incredible praise competitions. They're giving you the chance to win luxury cars, dream holidays, top tech, and even life-changing cash prizes, all for a fraction of the cost. And what's the best part of this? Entering is super easy, so you just need to go on, select your competition, grab your tickets, and then you're in for a shot at winning big. With guaranteed winners in every draw and some of the most amazing prizes out there, Our Kings is the place to be if you want to turn a little into a lot. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to www.ourkingscompetitions.com now and grab your tickets, and you could be our next big winner. That's Our Kings Competitions, where dreams become reality, and enter today.
So, your experience as a presenter is going to be a lot different to a lot of other presenters in Northern Ireland. Just being a young woman in the game, what's the experience been like for you? And have you ever faced any criticism?
Criticism, yes, absolutely. On a whole, it's great. On a whole, it's fantastic. 99% perfect, positive. I've had managers. And I'll never forget Jim Irvin, the Ballymena manager. Actually, this season after I finished interviewing him, he was like, "Lori, I really enjoy what you're doing. Like, keep it up." And that's really, really nice to hear from you. Like, thanks very much. So on a whole, across managers, players, fans, it is very positive. But of course, I face criticism. Like, I think it's one of the things I said in a recent interview. Actually, is I don't ask, especially when I'm interviewing managers and players, I don't ask things the way that a journalist would. Like, I'm not a journalist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have come into this as a football fan, and so I leave my questions very kind of open ended.
It's probably the best way to be as well.
Exactly, and kind of give the manager or player or whatever scope to say whatever they feel like saying.
Yeah.
They've already been asked all those technical journalist questions. Do you know what I mean? They don't even need to hear them again for me. So there was a wee while there whenever I first started interviewing managers this season where it was like there was a few comments like, get a man who knows what they're talking about, or get why is this woman interviewing these people? And there was one that was like, Lori, you're just a quota filler and all this stuff. And I was like,
little do they know you've been going to the games for 18 odd years.
I know. God, don't say that. That makes me sound old. And then there would be things like there were comments maybe at the start of the season where like comments on my appearance, and I would get maybe personal messages or comments that just aren't in good favour. But you're going to get that anyway. Do you know
you have to take the good with the good, bad with the bad.
Exactly. And this was another thing I said as well. Whenever I was interviewing yesterday, I asked a couple of fellas, do you want to do an interview? For every interview of ours that you see, there's been about 20 people before that have said no.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'd be too shy or whatever. And I'm always like, so am I. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I always say you need to get used to kind of two things. You need to get used to rejection, and you need to get used to criticism. Do you know what I mean? And if you can't, then there's no point in you doing it because you are going to face it. Regardless.
See, at the very start, did it ever affect you?
No, I don't think it did. And I don't think it did because I had my own TikTok account and I had so many different comments on like my appearance and all these different things. Like even on, I remember I put up a video there a wee while ago actually of me kind of taking the hand out of my son because we were watching an England game. I can't remember who they were playing. I was going to him, we're not supporting England, Rowan, and he's going, I am supporting England, Mum, and I'm going, you're not allowed to support England. Just carrying on with him, and all these comments beneath it were like, let the child support whoever he wants, and let the child go on. Come on now.
Just having a bit of crack.
Just having a wee laugh, but you get comments on everything: appearance, motherhood, intelligence. Like I've had the dumb blonde comments quite a few times over the years too. So I think having my own TikTok account kind of built me up for knowing what I was going to get anyway, and going to the games as a woman over the years. I knew what football was going to be. I knew what I was getting myself into. Do you know what I mean?
What is the biggest positive and the biggest negative of doing what you're doing?
The biggest positive is for me, it's probably two things. On a personal level, it would be that little girl in me that never really got a chance to play football.
Yeah.
Now has some kind of way of being involved in the one sport that I love the most, without being a player or whatever. Like this is my involvement. And the other thing is I love getting around the grounds and meeting so many different people. It's opened my eyes up to, like, before obviously I was a Korean fan and I was going around and there's everybody has their rivalries and you don't like this team and you don't like these and blah blah blah. But when you go around the clubs and actually get to know the people within those clubs, whether it be managers, players, marshals, media staff, the people that do the tea hospitality stuff, like you get to realize what it means to people.
Like it's some people's lives. Like it actually is. Like, and it's great that the club is there because there's a lot of people I would say that may be a lot more lonely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they wouldn't have like that their social interactions or the social like the friends they make through the club. Because like I know with Clinville, like they're like Clinville have a really, really good fan base, and a lot of people would associate like go and socialise in the social.
Yeah.
Like in the social club itself. And do Coleraine have a social?
We do.
Yeah. What's that like?
I'm never really in the social club, to be honest, but the social club would have a decent buzz about it.
Question is, how much is a pint? I think
I
that's
actually don't know.
that's what it always comes down to. See,
I'm not a big drinker, so I have no idea.
That's the best way to be as well. Save a lot more money
I
doing
learned
that.
over the years, I think.
See, last year at the Irish Cup final, oh my god, I was absolutely steaming, and I haven't drunk at all
That's
this
okay,
year.
though, you're allowed one of those every now and again.
I'm like 3rd of May here. I'm gonna be steaming.
Steam again.
Absolutely steaming. Like, where's the best food in the Irish League? Have you had much burger vans?
In fairness, Coleraines is pretty decent.
What's the go-to order?
Coleraines burgers, the
Burger.
cheeseburger, wee bit of red sauce.
Wee bit of red sauce. I put a bit of garlic on mine. I know it's a bit on a burger. It's a bit skeptical. It is a bit skeptical, but
It's quite intriguing though.
it is. See, I like to mix and match. I like to add stuff together which shouldn't be together.
Adventurous with your
I do.
burger order.
I do. I never used to be like that there, but then my ma says variety is the spice of life, and I goes,
Wise woman.
bingo. You are 100% right there. What is a typical match day for you? What's it look like?
When I'm working.
Yeah.
Usually at the moment it's we cover Saturday games, so I normally have to get up, take my wee boy's playing football now at Coleraine Academy. Normally have to get up, take him to his game, either go back home or go straight to wherever we are, depending on where we are that day. Yesterday, for instance, took my son to his game, went home, got kind of makeup and hair, camera ready, dressed for what I thought I prepared myself for the weather. I didn't yesterday, but anyway.
You never do you?
Nope.
Never.
And then Dylan, my wee cameraman, he isn't very far from me, so he'll pick me up and we'll drive up to the game. Usually stop at the Apple Green on the way, get a coffee, and then we'll go up. I'll read over my questions.
Apple Greens are class.
Oh, they're unreal.
They are.
Honestly.
They're lethal.
Read over my questions, and then we will set up mic and everything, and then just walk around and kind of try and scope out who looks approachable or who looks, like they would be willing to talk to us.
Who's the biggest character you think you've met in the game? Maybe a player or staff at a club, manager. Who do you think is like you've came away going, that interview was actually really, really good. I've really enjoyed that.
I can't think of any now off the top of my head.
Darren Hill will throw you there because you were good.
Darren was good. Darren spoke really well. Yeah, spoke really well. He, as I say, it's good. It's good whenever we go to a club where, and I think everyone nearly knows this now, but it's really good whenever we go to a club where there's someone that's there that's like, I'll take you to, many people do you need today, and that the Cliftonville Marshals are great for that. Whether they're, I remember them doing the same whenever we were at Portadown this year.
You've got a good like relationship with the Clinville fans. We're talking about it like off like camera, but yeah, you've got a good relationship
they
there.
Well,
They do.
They do.
For a bunch of
Make me all embarrassed right now. This season.
like for a bunch of maniacs, they're good maniacs.
Here, you get them at every club, believe me. So you do, but good maniacs, exactly.
See, when you were doing the League Cup, like what was that like? Just because the day in itself, like there was something like 15,000 or something like that there at it. Like it's a sunny day and great game as well. What was that like for you as the experience? Was there ever been actually like a follow-on question as well, like a pinch me moment when you're doing this?
That probably would have been one of them. Walking out, because we walk when we're at Windsor, we walk out of the media entrance. And that day, actually, Nicola McCarthy would be one of my idols, if that's the right word to use. I think she's a phenomenal woman, and what she's, her work and what she's done in football is fantastic. And I walked out onto the pitch at Windsor, and Nicola came over and gave me a hug, and I was like, or no, that was last week actually. That was the Linfield Trophy presentation last week. But I saw Nicola, League Cup final as well, and I think it's those moments where I'm going. I interviewed David Healy last week as well, and I remember watching him as a young girl too.
Yeah.
It's whenever you interview people who you're going, if you'd have told me this at 15 years old that I was going to be doing this. I never would have believed you.
His Northern Ireland scoring record is phenomenal. Like they got hat-trick against Spain and stuff like that there, and then you're just sitting there interviewing him.
Crazy.
I think it's like it is phenomenal. Like exactly like the work you're doing. You've seen, like you said earlier on at the start of the episode, that you couldn't really play football. There was kind of like that mentality that girls shouldn't be like playing football, and now you're doing the coverage for the women's game. How have you seen? Have you seen the changes? Like sit there and go to yourself, oh my god, this is insane. The changes in the women's game, because it is massive now.
One of the nicest things for me when I go to the women's game is seeing how many young girls are there watching, and they're coming all their regalia, whether it's NIFL, Gantorm, whatever. And it's looking at that and thinking, you know, there's a place for women within this sport, and looking at people like, you know, like Marissa Callahan, like, you know, like what a legend. That was another pinch me moment whenever I interviewed her as well. I was like, that's Marissa Callahan. Like,
she is a legend.
You know, this is crazy. But no, the women's game is really, really coming on, and rightly so. Like the standard of football in the women's game, like, you know, Glentoran and Cliftonville are fantastic.
When was it? Last year, I was in work and someone fired on the TV. Leon were playing Benfica women's in the Champions League. I'm not joking. I was looking at that going, this is mad. I was like it was like a seriously good standard. Like, and I was like, this is class. Like, and then even Cliftonville when they were playing Benfica in Portugal in the Champions League, and you're like, that's like, it's unreal. Like it's great opportunity. Like see, especially now, and you see a lot of Cliftonville players going over to the likes of Burnley and stuff like that there as well. Do you ever think there could be a time in the Irish League where we'll be able to keep our best players?
I mean, you would like to hope so. I think we maybe get a good way to go before them. But I mean, the league, like NIFL, are doing all the right things. You know, attendances were up last season. They're up again this season. Like there's only one way to go, and it's up the way. So,
see, when it comes to, because I said to you before, the All Ireland League, do you think it'd be more pro or more con for teams?
See me, I'm thinking of Korean. I'm thinking, God, where would I have to travel to watch Korean?
I mean, away day in Cork or going down to Dublin.
Yeah, okay, I love it down south. So it's one of those things that I am not overly opposed to, and I'm not overly, you know, I haven't necessarily got a massive opinion on it. It's the same with summer football as well. I don't have an overly strong opinion either way.
It could be a big benefit.
Maybe a bit warmer whenever I'm
100%. Like, see, any like weather that you go to in, or any time of year really, you go to Solitude, it's gonna be cold.
Yeah,
so, I mean, if you if you go in July, it's still gonna be freezing. Like, but I think it'd be such a great benefit to the league. Doing the summer league, like I think it's like it'd be classed Friday night matches and stuff like that. There means people can still go out and like enjoy their weekend. But I think the Irish League, or the League of Ireland, really, like Rovers this year they've done like unbelievable. It's great to see.
I was at, what game was I at? League of Ireland last year in the Aviva. Must have been their cup final.
The EA Sports Cup, did they call it?
And Drogheda.
Yeah. Big turnout.
Unbelievable.
Big turnout, yeah. And then Drogheda wouldn't be really one of the most followed teams in the league compared to like your Bows, St Pat's, Rovers, and they still brought a massive crowd. Like,
it was that
I
was
think it's
great there. I
think it's class. Where do you see the Irish League going in the next 5 years?
Hopefully, attendances will keep climbing up across the board. I think, it's me speaking from a Korean perspective again. I think, you know, focusing on the young players coming through is really important as well. Yeah. You know, and as you say, maybe holding on to the best players in the league, keeping them here. But hopefully with the way that our social media and stuff going, I know it's maybe only a small part, but I think it's something that's hugely important.
100%,
to kind of making the games more attractive to people and letting people see that they are, you know, safe places or places to come to and have, you know, an extreme form of enjoyment and kind of.
Have you ever
been? I
been?
Say therapy, but it's not really therapy.
There's some people go there and their heads just come out.
Makes you worse.
100%. Have you ever been asked by BBC to come on to do the live commentary or anything? No.
I couldn't do commentary.
Could that not?
No, I have in the women's game. Johnny Martin would do our commentary for the women's game, and I would sit sometimes up in the box with them whenever the game's on, and I would listen to them, and I'm going, I could never do that job.
No?
Never. I would say the wrong thing, or...
Would you do the presenting if it was offered to you? Like like pit side presenting?
Yeah.
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 Have you, is that the goal actually? Do you think? Like how far do you, do you want to go in this game?
As far as I can, of course. But yeah, okay, it would be, but as I say, the live presenting is a lot of pressure, and I, comparing like live presentation to like being out and about interviewing, I am far more comfortable interviewing, but maybe then again that's because I've done it more.
Yeah.
But yeah, to work to further myself in either of those absolutely would be a no brainer for me. But I'm comfortable where I am at the minute. Like I love NIFL are good to me, and I enjoy it. I love this.
Like you're promoting the league, yeah. Like, see, especially because it's for your like own people and stuff like that. There, like it does. Like I would say, like it does mean more.
It does. Yeah, that's it.
Would you ever try to go over to England or and try and break into that area?
I don't know, because even as I say, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I don't even get the time to pay as much attention to the Premier League as what I would have done. Like I work another job. Like I'm a mum.
Yeah, you're flat out.
So I don't know if I would or not. Obviously, it's something that if maybe in another life. But with having my wee boy and all, I don't know if I would.
What do you do for downtime since you're managing all these accounts and you're doing cheerleading, and then you're doing the NIFL stuff? So, like, how do you wind down?
Well, I was doing kickboxing there up until about a year and a half ago, and I started hitting pads again a wee while there with my Borland. So that's one way. That's good.
Yeah, that's a good way to release the stress. Like.
That's one of my favourite things ever. And just I'm one of those people, I like being out and among nature. Say if I've been at a game, you're surrounded by thousands of people. Yeah. Like I've met my quota for people for the day. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I am like, I need to
wind down,
go a walk or like do something like that. Like I don't want to. Don't get me wrong, I like it. I do like a wee night out now. Yeah. But if you've been working all day, and as I say, you're surrounded by people, and you're just I can't talk anymore.
Where's the go-to spot
for a wee walk?
For the beach or anywhere?
Downhill Beach is the best spot up around the north coast. It's the one where where you can see Bonone's up there, and McGilligan and stuff.
Yes.
And then downhill's the one where you can see Musselden Temple.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Unreal.
Such a nice spot.
Is that the one you can drive onto?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that there is class.
We are lucky. That's one of the reasons why, like, don't get me wrong, for work and stuff, like, I would love to live in Belfast, but then sometimes, especially in these common months, you're looking at Coleraine and going, Portrush is there, Portstewart's there, Castle Rock's that way, like, Ballycastle's not far away. Like, we're spoiled for...
Ballycastle have some good food.
Yeah.
Morton's.
That wee chip shop.
Yeah, Morton's is...
Yeah.
Me and my missus, we are going up the North Lake Coast here on Thursday, so we're going to leave early about like 8 in the morning, stop at like Ballintoy, Ballycastle, like Portrush, and just have like a load of food. And honestly, I can't wait for it.
Can't beat it.
Yeah,
those are the kind of days I enjoy the most.
Yeah, it's unreal. I can like see, especially the last few days, like great weather. Like I don't think there's anywhere better or anywhere I'd rather be than here in the sun.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just it's different. I think
we had that conversation actually. Me and Dylan going up in the car to whatever game it was last week, Linfield's trophy presentation, and the sun was shining, like, and Dylan was like, how many dads do you think I'll be saying today? Oh, Costa del Coleraine, where else is it going to be? Do you know what I mean? It is so true,
Costa del Coleraine.
Costa del Coleraine.
Well, here, it's kind of the same, isn't it? Like,
well, kind of.
See, when it comes to the presenting, there is a lot of voices and opinions out there. You get a lot of negative opinions. The likes of Joey Barton. How does that make you feel when he's discussing female presenters?
I don't think that people like Joey Barton have a leg to stand on to discuss anything. Do you know what I mean? It's just like you don't have to look too far into someone like that to see their makeup and their character. Do you know what I mean? Was he not? He was convicted there of
beating his wife.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that just someone with a loud mouth like that and so many opinions, you can see that there's a real hatred for women there.
Yeah.
But I think people who have a hatred for maybe women or a certain race or whatever, that's something within you that you need to look at. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not a me problem. Yeah. It's a you problem.
Who do you look up to in the game? The likes of your Laura Woods, Kate Abdos. I
love those two that you've just mentioned. Laura Woods is
Laura Woods class.
Yeah. But again, here, perfect example of two fantastic women that were working at the game last week, Nicola McCarthy and Ruth Gorman. Do you know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to look too far, but I have to say I do love Laura Woods.
I think like she's class. Like she won Sports Presenter of the Year like 2 or 3 years in a row. Yeah. Yeah, she's very, very good.
I have spoke to people who have been interviewed with her, and who work with her, and they say that she knows every single detail.
Very knowledgeable.
So professional. So.
What do you think of Michael Owen? Like as a presenter?
I think I'll always have a wee bit of distaste for him now.
He's like some of his takes. You just sit there and go, it's well. Do you know? Because some of the takes she's done is mad. Ali Anuko. She done that there 19 goals in 40 games basically. Yeah. And I was just sitting there going, what's going on? What's going on? But Michael Owen as well. Like Michael Owen's, there's some takes he does is see that there punditry team of Kate, Henry, Carragher and Richards. Oh, phenomenal. So good. Like
Carragher's a character, like, isn't he?
He does a lot of mad.
I don't know if I like you or not. Like he's one of those people. I'm like, some days I like you, sometimes I don't.
See, being a Liverpool fan, I actually prefer to listen to Gary Neville more than I do Carragher.
I would probably agree with you.
And United fans have said to me they prefer to listen to Carragher than Gary Neville, and I'm just like, it's a bit mad. See, when it comes to the presenting for Coleraine, do you think because this big influx of money and stuff like that there as well, do you think you're going to be doing? There's going to be more stuff now for you to do, or you just a Coleraine.
I think the media department at Coleraine is one of those things. Colerane's in a very, very transitional period. Do you know what I mean? And
it's exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah. It is exciting, and I'm lucky enough that I've been down and I've done a good wee bit of content with the boys this season. Maybe not in recent weeks, but I've been in it training, and you know, things are just you get, as soon as you walk in to training and you see the lads and you see the kind of how they are with each other and how Dean is with them and all the backroom staff, and you just feel like there's something.
There's something special.
Building. There's something good building, which I'm glad to see. And I know Henry personally, Henry Ross, who's now our executive chairman, and our majority shareholder, and he is, for a 24-year-old man, very clued in, very intelligent, and has the club's best interest at heart. You know, and I think as someone who has been around Coleraine for so long, I said that to him actually in a conversation with him. I said I can see that you want the best for this club.
Unreal.
It's very important. It's
that's
important
all
to
you
have
can.
People like that around the league.
For an owner, like that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Definitely. What's the crack with the new stadium? Do you know much about that there?
I think the new phase. So they've been building the new pitch. So the wee pitch, as we call it, very Korean term, the wee pitch.
The wee pitch.
At the side, and then I think the next phase is to build the stand across from the Jack Doherty stand. But that's all.
Because I seen like, must have they put a proposal to the government for something like 10 million or something. Like it would be great, see if all clubs got that there like funding, because they've been waiting on the funding for years now. Like it's,
years and years.
I mean and I was watching like do you know that guy goes around all the grounds? Some English guy does all the football stuff. What's his name? He does all match day experiences and goes to.
Jimmy Lomax, no? Is it Jimmy?
Actually, I can't remember, but he was at Seaview and he was at Seaview for a Clinville and like in cruise match, but he went to Solitude. And one of the workers like actually put in a good point. He says the money that they were promised a few years ago isn't worth as much as the money. Which like even if they get the money now, it's not going to be worth as much as what it was then. I think the government need to put their fingers out there, because I think everywhere else in the UK they got it except for Northern Ireland, which is always. But I think it'd be great for the league, like especially especially for the Reds. That old stand is horrendous looking, like. And you've got that there KJ stamp, and which like and looks nice.
Though, I love, like, this is one of the things we were talking about actually in the drive up here. We drove past the Oval, and I love the authenticity of all those old grounds too. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
The stories behind them.
Whenever the time comes that all the work's done to the grounds, that we still retain that, you know, the history within them too.
Especially for the Oval, like the Oval was like bombed by the Germans and stuff like that there in World War II, and I mean there is really, really good stories like behind them.
There's a war bunker at the Oval
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Mental.
And there's character in them as well. No, it's not like going to, say, go to the Etihad and it's just it's all manufactured. You know what I mean? It's just very glossy and glamorous and stuff like that. There, where you go here and it's real people going to watch football and
football that's still to me real football.
Real football. No, I mean it's not. Or there's nothing really glamorous about it. Like the guy who's hitting the penalty could be getting a goal bonus that could clear part of his mortgage. No, like go to it, stuff like that. There, like it's actual football. Where nowadays, like there's good physicality in the game as well. I love that there. Yeah. Technically, I think the league is getting a lot more better. There's great and technical players there as well. And as you said, it's real football. You know what I mean? You go there and it's still a bit of roughness to it. Like, and I guess like and the characters of the players as well. You got a load of good characters in the players. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly where the league will go over the next few years. Probably the best question, I would say. If you could look back at teenage you now, what advice would you give her?
I don't think I would change anything. Do you know what I mean? I was a wee bit of a it's a phrase I always say to some of my friends whenever I was running the Kelly's every Wednesday night and every Saturday. You know,
what a place.
I'm a retired Hallion. Do you know what I mean?
That's the best term I've ever heard.
I always say that. I was a wee bit of a wild card whenever when I was in my teens, I think. But I think in some senses you have to go through that phase. Like, do you know what I mean? Especially like even whenever I was at uni, as I say, like I'll go back to the experience was as valuable as the degree. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like some of the parties and stuff we had at university was
madness.
Insane. And then again going back to like the Kelly's days, like I sound like an old woman here.
You have the experience, like you have the experience that likes of challenging times or even just times like that there to kind of forge the person that you are now and give you life experiences, everything. Yeah. It is like I think that's why at jobs they always look for experience just because you need that experience. It does forge you into the person that you are now. Do you think 14-year-old you going to your first Korea match would be proud of the person that you are now?
I do. Yeah. I really do. And that's I do often think that, you know, like I am proud of myself, and especially with my son as well. I always say like I want my son to be proud of me too. Yeah. And I think you can relate that. You know, you can relate your child to your younger self too. And I think the advice that I would give to myself and to anyone would be to stay true to who you are and to not let any outside voices change that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Regardless, because people always have something to talk about. And you're either going to be, I know it's really cliched, but you're either going to be someone's cup of tea or you're not. Like I know for me, like there are people who I just don't gel with, and like that's okay. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not for everyone. But you have to, like, you know, you are the main character. Again, really cliched, but at the end of your life, you want to look back and say, well, I did that. I made mistakes doing this. I was successful doing this. But, you know, I made my own decisions. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And not listen to, not even, you know, to maybe to a certain degree your parents, but your life is your own, and you have to make it that way, and you have to stay true to who you are.
Is there any opportunities that you were offered or presented with that you didn't take and you've regretted it after?
Not really. Not in my working life, I don't think. Staying in London was always one. But then I would never be doing this if I had stayed in London. Do you know what I mean? Never. When I was really young, it was always kind of the sports that I did. I always kind of quit them before I got to the kind of the pinnacle of them. Yeah. Like figure skating whenever I was younger, and karate as well. I think I quit when I was like a belt off black or two belts off black. So things like that. But every instance in my life that I could say I maybe should have done things different, I wouldn't be where I am now and doing what I'm doing now. And what I'm doing now is something that, you know, I'm not a millionaire, do you know what I mean? But there are other jobs, and I've had this conversation with my mum and stuff at times. There's probably other jobs that I could have applied myself to more, or other areas in my life that I could have went into more that would have me making far more money than I'm making now. But would I enjoy it as much? No, you know. And I think really for any young person that's at that kind of, do I go to university? Do I do this? What do I do? Do whatever it is that you love. Do you know what I mean? Do whatever it is that you enjoy, not what you think is going to please your parents or what's going to make you the most money. Because at some stage in your life, those things that you love, those are the things that you're going to apply yourself to the most. So always do what you enjoy.
Would you rather earn average money but be happy, or earn a lot of money and be miserable?
Definitely the first option. Definitely
First
earn
option.
average money and be happy. Yeah.
100%.
If you're miserable, what's the point?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's a true saying that money doesn't bring you happiness. Like, you look at some of the, like the 27 Club and the big stars in the world, big millionaires and big people who, Justin Bieber at the moment's a perfect example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You watch their mental decline. Mental health is something that's really, really important to me, and keeping yourself on that kind of that even keel of checking yourself and thinking, right, well, am I doing what's right for me? Yeah, definitely would rather be earning average money and be happy.
How do you keep your mental health in check, especially with the comments and all going about and stuff like that? There, how do you like keep yourself okay?
For me, it's something that a lot of people maybe don't know. Is I struggle quite badly, and struggled for quite a long time. I was off work for weeks and everything. Not long after I had my son, a year or two after I had my son, with anxiety. I had a proper anxiety breakdown, and still to this day, that would be something that would kind of creep up on me at times.
Yeah.
But I know I take myself back to, I had to work on myself for a long, long time after that really rough period, and I would take myself back to kind of doing maybe like exercising, as I say, like hitting around the pads, or reading a book that I know that brings me back to a happy time in my place, listening to music that makes me feel good, all of those kind of things, and just sitting down with your thoughts and going, right, well, I'm panicking or worried about this thing. Well, is that true? What do I know of this thing that I'm worrying about that might happen? What do I know of that to be true?
Yeah.
Right, is it actually going to happen, or am I just worrying myself into thinking that it's happening? And then the whole mindset of, the more that you worry about something, what you put your thought into is what you're going to get. So I try and keep my thoughts as positive as I can. It's not always possible, but you do have to try and help yourself. Yeah, of course.
Would you journal or do affirmations or meditation, anything like that?
I used to do a fair wee bit of meditation and yoga. Journaling, no, it's not really something I've ever overly been into. Art is a great one for me. If I find myself kind of spiraling, I'm like, right, I need to get a freaking pencil
and just draw,
break it on on this piece of paper. Yeah, there are all different practices. I think that are kind of, you have to learn to tailor your own mental health to you. I think that's a big one. I remember I did a wee bit of work actually with a mental health charity a while ago, and it was all about kind of lived experience, and how if you go to a mental health practitioner, they're going to give you the guidelines for what's good for a number of people.
Yeah.
But you yourself know within you, it's about keeping in contact with what's within you, because it's your own experience that's going to pull you out whatever you're in.
Yeah. So what do you hope your story and your work in football represents to other young women growing up in Northern Ireland today?
I hope that it shows that football in this country can be a safe space for women, because I know it can be intimidating. Do you know what I mean? It can. I hope that it shows that there is a place for women. Not that, again, like, there are people who've came before me, like the likes of, like I mentioned, like Marissa Callahan, Nicola McCarthy, all of those people that have done that before, and I think young women should be looking to them before me, But I just wish that we could pull in more young female figures within the realms of football.
Have you ever been approached by any young females when you're doing your job, really?
I have, yeah. There would be a good few that would come over and say, "Oh, I follow you on TikTok or whatever." And I've heard comments, especially within Coleraine, of people saying, "Oh, there's been a couple of mums that have come up to me and said, 'Oh, my wee girl said whenever she's older, she wants to do what you do.'" And I've been asked to come into a school in the town as well to talk about kind of young women and getting into sport, which was, to me, that was one of the things that I'll look back on everything, but that being asked to come in, I haven't done it yet, I haven't visited the school yet, but being asked to come into that school and talk to young girls was probably the most emotional moment in my career. That was me going, wow. Do you know what I mean? That means a lot.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like looking back at like a 14-year-old you and going, whoa, like I never thought that I would ever do anything like this here.
Absolutely. Like, I thought that I was just going to be, behind the camera and being a photographer. I had this thing of being, maybe not at 14, mind you, But never did I think that this was going to be something that I would be doing. But looking back, it's almost like, well, that should have been your dream job. When I was that age, my dream job would have been, I wanted to be an archaeologist actually at some point. You know, that's look how different that is. Do you know what I mean? But looking back and going, right, well, I always loved art, media, football, sport. Like, I refused to wear dresses, always wore tracksuits. You know, it's a no-brainer to some degree, but would I have ever envisioned this at that age? No.
No. What's one thing that people don't see behind the scenes of presenting that you wish they understood better?
Probably how difficult it can be at some stages. Like over the course of the last year, I have had some of the worst news probably. You know, so there's certain things like, you know, if a couple of my family members have been, both my grandparents were diagnosed with cancer there last year within a few months of each other, and it's the fact that it's not like a normal job in terms of going in and being able to kind of slug through your day and just survive through your day. You have to click into that, being happy, approaching people, you know, being bubbly and confident no matter what you're feeling and no matter what's going on in your life. And that can be tough, you know.
Is it easy like to do now, or is it easier than the very start?
It's, of course, it's easier than it is at the start. You get used to it, you do. And as I said earlier, it is almost like a performance and you can almost click. But then it's the kind of, it's like the kind of breath that you get after a game. It's like you kind of build your adrenaline's running. Like, I know mine is anyway. Maybe other presenters aren't the same, but my adrenaline is sky high on a match day. Like, and then after, say, I get in the car or whatever, whenever I'm finished, I'm like, oh, okay,
it's time to wind down.
Breathe.
Yeah,
you know, that's it done. But it's fantastic. I wouldn't change it for the world. But there are days when it can be hard to put that face on and be like, right, I have to
show
use
up
my brain and I have to use, you know, be.
Have you ever had a fuck up where you've went, oh fuck, like you've had an interview and you've missaid something or like mispronounced a word and you're just like, ah, shit.
I mispronounce words all the time, and so I was saying to you earlier, like when you're standing at an Irish League ground and you're freezing and your mouth's not working properly because you're so cold and you're going, I'm speaking and I can't, like, this here's not working for me. You mispronounce things. And I think it's hard whenever the live present is a perfect example. You're trying to think about what you're saying so much that you're forgetting what you're saying. It's really, really hard to explain. But you have these cue cards and you're looking down and you're going, right, I need to get to this point. But I'm trying to think about what I'm saying. I'm trying to think if I'm pronouncing it properly.
Yeah.
If I'm, you know, am I speaking clear enough? Am I speaking loud enough? And you've all these things going on in your head that it's almost hard to try and remember your next point.
Is it pressure?
It is pressure.
How do you handle pressure?
I don't know. I'm not sure if I handle it very well yet. I don't know. I don't know. I think I've just built myself to do so now, regardless. Do you know what I mean? I know that I have no other option. You know, I remember before I presented my first live game in the women's, before we did do that on DAZN. So that, for me, that was a big thing. And I remember the day before going, my son was like, "You okay, Mum?" And I was reading through like my script, because you have about 5 kind of segments for your build up. And I said to my wee boy, he's 7 coming 8, and I was like, Mommy's just a wee bit nervous. I have a big job on tomorrow and I don't know if I'm built for it or if I can do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I think that you can do it because you're just the best in the world. And you just like you just think back to those wee moments, and you have to think on the things that you have done in the past that you thought you were no good at.
Yeah.
And you got through it.
100%.
And you've done it. So
there's so many instances like that there that you think that you can do something, and then you always seem to forget them as well when it comes to another challenge. You go, and then you like remember, I've done this before. I've done stuff like this here. It's
at the end of the day, like sometimes I'll go to myself, is it that serious? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that serious. Like, we're on a big friggin' floating rock in the sky. Like,
who cares?
Do you know what I mean? Who cares?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think a lot of people actually need to understand that more, that people are too scared to put themselves out there because they're going to get judged or someone's going to say something.
Which is understandable, but it's not that serious.
No matter what you do, people are going to talk.
Yeah.
If you do good, or you do bad, people are going to talk shit anyway. So you may as well do what makes you happy.
That's
And
true.
at least if you fucked up, you've tried.
Yeah.
And trying is 10 times better than saying, fuck nah, like it
That's the
didn't even
thing.
bother.
Whenever I get some of those comments, it was like, you're not asking the right questions, or like get a man into it or whatever. You're going, take you the mic and you do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not as easy as you think. Here, have a go.
100%. Like, and especially if
You
you've
know
done
what I
that to
mean?
someone, if they're like shooting stuff to the ground, the crumble, I'd say.
Yeah.
The crumble,
This is
the pressure, the eyes are on, they're
Yeah.
going to say something, it's going to be on record, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many things that go into stuff
So
like
many things
that
that go
there.
through your mind.
It's fucking crazy. But thank you very much for coming on, Lori. I really
for having me.
appreciate it. Absolute legend.
First podcast ever.
First podcast. Done.